I'm here with Ginger Schell. She is the owner of Intentional Reach, which is her home-based transcription business that specializes in creating beautiful, custom-designed transcripts for pastors and podcasters. She is also the owner of GT Bootcamp, where she teaches other people how to create their own niche-based transcription businesses. She's also the proud mom of 4 children, and they are really the number one reason that she decided to enter the transcription field in the first place. So, Ginger, why did you decide to start your own business rather than just working for a company?
Okay, so most people already know that I started out as a medical transcriptionist and absolutely hated it and started my own business. The reason I decided to start my own business instead of getting a job working for a general transcription company or another sermon transcription company is, well, I'll start with the general. Well, actually, I'll start with the sermon. There weren't any sermon transcription businesses. I could not find one. I found a couple of people who did it on the side, but they just did it for themselves and they definitely weren't hiring. So that idea went out the window very quickly. So I looked at general transcription companies who they have sermons, but they also transcribe anything and everything else. So right. I knew that I was going to be in the same predicament as I had been with medical transcription, low pay, never knowing if I was going to get high quality audio, never knowing if I was going to get a foreign accent. So many factors that I didn't want to have to deal with. And not to mention, as a Christian, I'm very careful about what I watch on TV. I'm careful about what comes into my eyes. I'm careful to what I listen to on the radio, what podcasts I listen to, all that kind of stuff. I care what goes in through my eyes and ears. And I knew that a general transcription company might send me material that was just not the kind of stuff I wanted to hear.
Right.
So I decided I would start my own sermon transcription business and just see what happened.
Okay. Good. Well, I would assume that the main skill that a person needs to succeed as a transcriptionist is the ability to type fast, right? I mean, you just type what they say, so it's easy, right?
That is probably the number one misconception about transcription. In reality, typing speed is the least important skill that you need to succeed as a transcriptionist. I actually have a medical transcriptionist friend who said, transcription killed my typing speed. Because there's so much research involved. You have to stop and listen, re-listen, so many factors. I like to tell people that typing fast has about as much with transcription as opening and closing scissors fast has to do with cutting hair.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's grammar, punctuation, how to capture voices in written form, making sure that you're spelling somebody's name right, the name of their company right, making sure you put down on paper what they said, the way they said it. So it's not like going online and taking a typing test, which tells you exactly what letter and punctuation mark to hit. So it's easy to do that. It's super fast. But there's a lot of critical thinking involved when it comes to transcription.
So are you saying that typing speed doesn't matter at all?
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all. I'm just saying it's not the most important skill. And there are tricks that you can use to increase your speed without being a fast typist. When I first started, I only typed about 45 words per minute. Even now, I only type about 65 words per minute. But if you learn how to create shortcuts, you can work quickly, even if you're not a fast typist.
Then what is the most important skill?
The most important skill you need is the ability to capture somebody's voice in written form. So in other words, when you're done with the transcript, if the person who spoke reads the transcript, they'll say, yes, that's what I said. And yes, that's how I said it. It's not good enough just to get their words down on paper. They want it to represent the way they sounded.
Okay. Well, everybody knows about medical transcription or legal transcription. Are there other types of transcription?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just said sermon transcription.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, literally you name the niche, you can transcribe. I mean, I literally just, I have a former student who transcribes oral histories for universities in her area. How cool is that? She used to work for some kind of historical office. I don't know exactly what she did.
Okay.
And she wanted to retire. So she enrolled in my program. And when she was done, she reached out to people she knew who, I don't know. All I know is that they do historical oral histories. And that's what she does now as a retired person from her home. And I think that is the absolute coolest thing. So if you're, I tell people, if you're, say you're a nurse and you're tired of working in the hospital, because you have so much medical knowledge, you could go find medical podcasts and transcribe those things because you're still using your knowledge. You're just using it in a different way.
Right.
Okay. So gardening, politics, religion. I mean, I could literally sit here for hours and just go look up podcast genres, and just a million things out there.
Yeah, cool. Well, with all of the voice recognition software that's around these days, are transcription jobs going away?
They are definitely not going away. Okay. So there are people who will use voice recognition software. For instance, if somebody just needs a quick copy of what they said for personal use, no one else is ever going to see it. They just want it for themselves. Then voice recognition software may meet their needs in that particular moment.
Okay.
But for people who are going to take the transcripts and turn them into books, or post the transcripts on their websites, or turn them into newsletters, I mean, there are all kinds of things that can be done with transcripts. They need high quality, easy to read transcripts, and VR software cannot do that, especially if there are people talking over one another. VR software, it just has no chance. So I'm not in the least bit worried about my job being threatened by VR software.
So when you talk, you're saying people talking over each other, you're talking about like a podcast, like an interview or something.
Yeah, if there's an interview or something, or even, I mean, even you think about sermons, sometimes, I mean, there are churches out there where people yell out from the congregation during the time, amen, preach it, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that can drown out the pastor. Most of the time, as a human transcriptionist, we can figure out what he said and what he meant to say. We can kind of fill in the context, but a machine cannot do that.
That's true. That's true. Do you think it is a good strategy for someone to get a job working for a transcription company before they look for their own clients? I mean, how can they get clients if they don't have any experience?
Okay, that is one of my favorite questions.
Yeah.
I don't believe it makes sense to get a job working for one of the cheap transcription companies for a couple of reasons. One, they're not going to pay you any money. I mean, the pay rates are, they're slave wages. I mean, and I'm not saying that in a political sense. I mean, they literally pay a lot less than the minimum wage. It's not less than minimum wage. It's a lot less than minimum wage. You just can't make any money. Okay. Secondly, if you have not had any training, these companies that are so cheap, they don't care about quality in the first place. So they're going to give you files, you're going to transcribe them, and whatever bad habits you have, they're just going to get cemented even more. The more you transcribe, the more those bad habits are going to become a part of you. And eventually you'll think you're doing it well when you aren't. All right. So then after you get experience and you're like, okay, I've been working here for 6 months. Now I'm ready to go find my own clients or to apply to work for a really good company that pays well. They're not even going to consider hiring you because you don't have the skills you thought you had. You have the skills to work for a cheap company. You don't have the skills to work for a company that will pay you better or to get your own clients. Okay. So that's one of the main things. I also tell people if they enroll in a program, you know, like I have one, if you enroll in a program and you work one-on-one with a coach, they're going to give you a practice file. You'll transcribe it. They'll go over the transcript with you, teach you the right way to do it. You'll do lots of practice files until you are an expert. So then when you do go to apply for a job, you can say, I do have experience. When companies are looking for someone with experience, what they usually mean is, do you know how to use a foot pedal? Do you know what digital playback software is? Do you know what a template is? Do you know how to send and receive files? Do you know how to follow my guidelines? It's not necessarily how many hours have you spent transcribing. They want to know that you can hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
And if you enroll in a program that can help you develop those, the knowledge you need and the skills you need much more quickly.
Is it necessary to be certified to work as a transcriptionist?
It is not necessary to be certified to work as a general transcriptionist. I believe that in some instances for medical and legal transcription, you do have to be certified. But with general, I mean, when I say you don't have to be certified, I mean, it's impossible. There is no association that certifies general transcriptionists. It does not exist.
Okay. You mentioned in the earlier question, a couple questions ago, about some equipment and some software. What kind of equipment and software does a work from home transcriptionist need?
Okay, so basically you need a laptop or a desktop computer. I personally prefer my laptop because I can take it with me anywhere. If I go out of town, then it doesn't disrupt my routine. You know, if you work on one kind of computer all the time and then all of a sudden you switch to another one, it's disconcerting. Yeah. So I personally work on a laptop. It doesn't have to be a fancy laptop with all kinds of bells and whistles. I personally like one with a light up keyboard so I can work in low light when I need to. That was especially important to me when my kids were little. And, you know, I was working during nap time, that kind of thing. But a simple laptop, you'll need digital playback software. You'll need a foot pedal, which is what a transcriptionist uses to start and stop the audio. You can start and stop it with your foot, and you can rewind or fast forward. That way you don't have to take your hands off the keyboard and you can just keep on transcribing.
Sure.
A good set of headphones is nice. Other than that, you really don't need much to get started. It's very simple. And if you go out of town, you can literally pack what you need to run your business or to do your job in a you know, a little briefcase.
From a hotel or on the beach.
Yeah, exactly. I've worked both of those places. Yes.
That's the beauty of it, I think, right?
Yes, it's one of my favorite things. Absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, what are the main differences between working for a transcription company or working for yourself and getting your own clients?
Okay, so if you work for, I've already mentioned some of these. Obviously, pay rate. The difference between, okay, so if you got a job working for a company, let's say like rev.com or SpeechPad, you'll be lucky if you make 30 to 50 cents per audio minute. That's extremely low pay. If you get your own clients, you can make $4 or more per audio minute. Wow. So when I tell people audio minute, they don't know what that means. So if somebody sends you a 30-minute audio file, that means it is 30 audio minutes. Okay. And transcriptionists are paid by the audio minute. So if somebody sends me a 30-minute sermon, I'm going to charge them 30 times whatever the pay rate is. Imagine what the difference is between being paid 25 cents per audio minute and being paid $4 per audio minute, or even if you were paid $2 per audio, let's cut that in half, $2 per audio minute, or cut it in half again, make it $1 per audio minute. You're still making a lot more money, a lot more quickly. Okay. So pay rate is a huge one. You can make a whole lot more money working for yourself. Secondly, you have the freedom to choose what you transcribe, when you transcribe, what you charge, how you're going to format, all those kinds of things that other companies will, you know, boss you around and tell you exactly how to do it and when to do it. Right. You have the freedom to set your own schedule and set your own guidelines and choose what you're going to transcribe and when you're going to do it. And it's the ultimate freedom. And I can't imagine giving it up.
Well, I really like the idea of transcribing from home, but I don't want to be tied to a desk all day long. So can you have a flexible schedule?
Absolutely. So I have transcriptionists who work for me at my business. Some of them will take one file every couple of weeks. I have other ones who work, you know, 20, 30, even more hours per week. So if you work for, whether you get your own clients or you work for a company, most of the time you can choose how much you work. And I mean that, like, some companies will say you have to transcribe at least 2 hours per month or 2 audio hours per month, or, you know, we're going to let you go, that kind of thing. So they do put limitations on it. If you have your own business, I mean, literally you could get one client and, you know, and go from there and add clients when you want to.
Right. You mentioned a couple of other transcription companies like rev.com and that don't require a course to work for them. So what do you teach that these companies are really looking for?
Okay, so when people say things like those companies will hire them without you taking a course, I tell them it's kind of like saying, I don't need to go to culinary school because I can already get a job at McDonald's.
Okay.
What I teach is not how to get a job at rev.com. If anything, I'm going to teach you everything that will make rev.com seem repulsive to you. Okay. That is my goal, so that you can understand that you can do so much better and have so much more success. And again, the higher the quality of the work, the faster you get it done, the higher the pay rate, the less you have to work to pay your bills. I mean, it's just, there's no comparison to that and working for a company that doesn't require the kind of skills that I teach.
Well, what do you say to someone who says they think they already have the skills and they have the know-how to get a good job or to start their own business? Do you think they still need your program?
You know what? There are people who work for me who have never taken a course and they do a great job. So no, I definitely would not tell everybody who wants to get into transcription that they need to take a course. There are people who can jump right in, people who have strong writing skills, people who've been in that kind of field before, and they understand it's not just about typing fast, can dive right in and get started. Unfortunately, most people think they have skills that they don't have, and they end up needing more guidance than they thought they needed at first. So I would say, if you want to go out and try to get a job, if you can get a job making at least $1 per audio minute, then you probably don't need to take a course. If you can get your own clients being paid at least $2 to $3 per audio minute, then you don't need to take a course. If you go out there, you try that and you struggle and you need help, then that's when I would recommend getting some guidance.
Very good, very good. Well, you started a sermon transcription business. Does that mean that all people in your program, they're going to also start a sermon transcription business?
No, and no, not at all. I mean, if you like doing sermons, then obviously I'm a good person to guide you for how to transcribe that particular niche. But no, you can do, like we said earlier, you can transcribe any kind of niche, literally anything that you are interested in or have expertise in. There are YouTube videos or podcasts, or people have their own websites. There's a plethora of files available that you can dive into.
Awesome. How much money can people realistically make?
Okay, so again, we keep going back to the cheap companies. If you work for a cheap company, it would be very, very difficult, if not impossible, to ever make minimum wage.
Wow.
In my program, I teach the skills so that people can make $50 an hour. That's not $50 per audio hour. That's literally $50 per work hour. Okay. So, I mean, if you do the math, if you worked 20 hours a week, making $50 an hour, I mean, that's, how much is that? $1,000 a week, right? Yeah, that's $1,000 a week, working 20 hours, just 20 hours a week. So there is good money in this. You can make a good living. And I tell people, if they start their own businesses, once they get off the ground, they can hire transcriptionists and proofreaders, and then the sky is the limit, because you have a lot more people working at the same time. You as an individual your time is limited. You can only transcribe one file at a time.
Right.
But if you hire people and you have multiple transcriptionists working at the same time, I mean, it compounds very quickly.
I think you have answered this before, but I want you to clarify it. How are transcriptionists paid? Again, explain that again.
Okay, so transcriptionists are paid by the audio minute. Actually, there are companies out there that will pay by the word or by the line or by the page. But I usually encourage people to stay away from those, because the definition of a word, I mean, it's not an actual word. Sometimes it's a certain number of characters. So there's a lot of trickiness with how you get paid, and you won't know what you're paid until the work is done. Okay. If you're paid by the audio minute, you know how much you're going to make before you even begin working.
Right.
And I love that aspect of being paid that way.
Right.
If you work for a transcription company, you may get paid by direct deposit. You may get paid with PayPal. They may mail you a check. If you get your own clients, most of my clients pay me either with credit card or by mailing me a check.
Gotcha. Well,
Okay.
thank you again for taking time and answering my questions.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. Bye.